4.8 Why should I know manipulation modes of others, and why should I manipulate someone? Regardless of which social class people belong to, whether they like it or not, they are connected with other people. A lion's share of processes in which a person participates, either way, is contact with another person. Since any individual normally lives among other people, the problem of knowledge and understanding of another person is everyone's urgent need. However, to date there is no source, besides the catalogue of human souls in civilization, from which a specific John could learn how to communicate with a specific Tom or Mary. And not just communicate in some way, but to do it in that exact manner that John needs, and not just get whatever from this communication, but strictly that what he personally needs. In an attempt to achieve this, John uses one method after another, as usual, designed one for all, until all methods are tried out, and something finally works at least to some extent. However, sometimes it is too late, the relationship is ruined, the contact is broken, and goals in regard to the opponent are not achieved. We think that the root of this problem is fundamental difference of internal characteristics of one person versus another, despite the external similarity and sometimes even kinship. Since it is impossible to distinguish subtypes of Homo sapiens based on appearance, it is much easier to tell a rabbit from a donkey, despite the fact that both have long ears. And that might have very unpleasant consequences. Since in nature when one tries to interact with a wild wolf as with a dog, with an eagle as with a dove, and with a venomous snake as with a worm, the consequences are always fatal. However, it is the same with people. Not knowing the person with whom you come in contact, it is impossible to know what to expect from him, her, and how to interact. Of course, unlike it is with animals, by interacting with another person inappropriately, in the physical sense, you will not get bitten, scratched, or torn into pieces. Although sometimes this happens. However, in psychological or, for example, financial sense, biting, scratching, and tearing apart is not at all uncommon among people. Unfortunately, this type of communication occurs very, very often. As a result, after communicating with other people, a person very often has to lick his wounds. However, in this respect, the situation has changed cardinally due to the scientific discovery of the Catalogue of Human Population, which was made by Andrei Davidov. Now, in order to make any kind of contact, it is not necessary to gather information about a person from third parties or from other sources of information. There is no longer a need to use the well-known scientific method of trial and error, and so on. Any kind of contact, business, friendly, intimate, and so on, with any person is now done quite easily using other methods. In order to know what to expect and what not to expect from a person, all that is needed is information about the individual program and manipulation modes of that person. Application of this kind of information guarantees establishment of any type of required communicative contact and with any required results. Any interaction can easily be modeled using information about another person from the Catalogue of Human Population. And as a result, any person can get that what he planned, that what he wants and needs from another person. The success of use of this technology is not affected by gender of the subject of interest, or by his/her age, educational level, or professional affiliation, financial situation, or belongingness to any social group. Information about another person from the Catalogue of Human Souls allows anyone to have an ability to influence, make adjustments to behavior, plans, and objectives in relation to that person. Consider any of the problems, for example, within tandems husband-wife, lovers, parent-child that we can safely state are common in 99.9% out of 100. The root cause of any one of them is the same: lack of knowledge of another person, inability to properly communicate with him, and inability to influence him. These are, so to speak, the three pillars upon which in this civilization all communication between one person and another stands. Only because of these three pillars parents at some point lose understanding of behavior of their children and control over their actions, and children are not able to get through to parents to explain their needs, aspirations, life stance to them. Also, this is the only reason why at some stage men and women go in different directions and live separately. They are simply unable to neither find a person with whom they would be happy, nor find a common language with a person who for some reason they selected for family life or for other type of relationship. And so they live apart, despite that both women and men, regardless of how old they are, do not want to be alone. They want to feel someone's shoulder close to theirs. They want to be needed, loved, and wanted. To us, all problems listed above seem unworthy of wasting one's breath on, as they are easily solvable by using information from the catalog of human population, the so-called search for the other half, and mutual understanding and love between parents and children or between a husband and a wife, and how to find a common language with another person, and how to be liked, and how to influence, and so on. So-called ordinary people can dream as much as they want that if he or she is not involved in something, from their point of view, serious and dangerous, they should not worry about their safety or preservation of their well-being. From our point of view, this is a very big delusion. We live in a civilization where each one of us, figuratively speaking, lives his whole life in the area of active combat operations. Regardless of whether he knows about it or not, notices or does not notice it. It is just that the scale of these combat operations, without quotes, is different for different people. For some, it is the process of conquest of economic and political influence over entire regions, and for some it is fighting over, figuratively speaking, a rusty frying pan. It so happened that in this society, that in any type of relationship between people, actions against each other cannot be classified in any other way except by the word war, in business areas, in so-called friendship, and even in families. And in reality, it is very difficult not to notice this fact. As a rule, it is not that people do not notice it, but they just do not want to think about it, hoping that their games of peaceful life with each other, their false assurances of friendship and love, will protect them from an attack. No, they will not protect. And it should be noted that consequences of participation in such combat operations are just the same for a major politician as they are for an ordinary, simple citizen. Pain, psychological, physical, financial, and other damages, etc., up to physical destruction. War is war. Hence the joke, "How do you feel, Joe?" Thank you, not well at all. Life at war is difficult, and it is even more difficult to survive. However, hiding in fantasies is not just pointless, but extremely dangerous. The whole question is not an ambition, since we face the fact that ambitions of so-called ordinary people sometimes can be truly exorbitant, but in that what a person is capable of, himself, him personally, in what information he has, what he knows how to do, how he does it, and does he do anything at all. Since sometimes people behave quite strangely, for example, they complain, get offended, upset, when someone reaches any success or surpasses them in their personal qualities in reality. These people are so used to being great and mighty in their fantasies that any encounter with real facts, which confirm that they are really not, make them very depressed and they feel hate towards other people. From our perspective, sometimes this reminds of a situation with a dog, which lazily wiggles its tail all day in anticipation of getting fed and petted, or sleeps, pretending that it protects the house during the breaks, and with the return of the master after a hard day of work is puzzled and upset after getting only bones off of a piece of meat. Yes, usually, no one physically destroys so-called ordinary people for their mistakes in communication, for misunderstanding and miscalculation of a situation, as it happens with, for example, politicians, officials, business leaders, etc. However, no one is immune to psychological destruction by another person or a group of people, which, as it is known, is followed by either physical destruction or, more commonly, physical self-destruction because psyche is primary. Usually, this does not get taken into account right away, and when something happens, it is usually too late to do anything about it. You, so to speak, got eaten. This society is a jungle, in Ngorongoro, where predators hide behind masks of innocent white sheep.